Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the podcast. I'm your host, Joe True and Love. Here with episode number 111 for Sports Heavy Topics. Thank you for joining me today. Some interesting flow of arrangements going around today as sporting from football, the NFL, baseball, and I don't usually talk about it, but I figure I have to. Serena Williams in tennis, along with others. It's that weird type of season at the end of summer as we're gearing towards the beginning again of the NFL regular season and the NBA regular season, but nonetheless, it's the start of the preseason, and we'll get a look towards that. Some of the prospects we're looking forward to amongst the games. And I know people don't like it, and I'll talk about the Hall of Fame game as well. But nonetheless, thank you again. Before we get into it, if you like this video and you want to see more, you can click more Sports Review topics on the channel, on the homepage. Click the description or subscription. There in the corner, take you to all Sports Review topics and videos across the channel. Find those all your sports coverage and insight from me and thoughts on really anything that's coming up in sports world nonetheless. So the Hall of Fame game for the NFL, it culminated on Thursday. NFL Hall of Fame week is in the books. Thursday, Hall of Fame game. Friday, gold jacket ceremony. And then Saturday was the enshrinement of the inductees. So, go over the Hall of Fame game first, of course, a little bit. And now, I probably went over it last week, but I'll say again, I get it that, people don't fancy the Hall of Fame game, the preseason games, it's not the full starters, it's not the full meaning towards the regular season. Alas, all the good players on the team, but, it's about finding your roster. It's about taking looks at your rookies, seeing how they develop, and seeing who looks for a job and looks to see who sinks in their first look and who swims in their first look. And some guys came looking very good at the Hall of Fame game. Jarrett Stidham, I think you could pretty much say was the MVP of the Hall of Fame game between the Raiders and the Jags. Former Patriots QB, he now back with Josh McDaniels or with the Raiders. He did very good, and I think has the real chance to be the backup QB for, as if he isn't already, for Derek Carr in Vegas. He did very good. I mean, of course, he didn't really get the fair assessment, I would say, you know, with the Patriots because he was just looked at really as a backup, and that's fair. But, good to see him have some success. Another guy in the Raiders, Zamir White. Zamir White, their fourth round running back, out of Georgia. He was one guy I was very keen on for the Raiders, seeing how he would look or fare, especially because they did not pick up Josh Jacobs' fifth-year option. So, makes it more intriguing to see how he looks in the team's eyes, paired side by side with Jacobs. And Austin Walter, their seventh-round guy, did look fair as well for the Raiders. So, look for that. But yes, White had over 50 yards rushing, had a few receptions for like 20-something yards. He showed some glimpses, and good to see. But the number one guy, I think, besides, who is playing, who had the most eyes on him, was Trayvon Walker, the number one overall pick in this year's drafts by the Jags over Aiden Hutchinson. He had a sack on Jared Stidham in this game. It's a filling out process because, the system at Georgia, he wasn't really the pure pass rusher with the system. But I'm curious in the system in Jacksonville if they'll allow him to be more outside and more actually a pass rusher as compared to a run-suffered defensive end. But at least for him, he got a sack in his first real action for the Jags, so good for him. Speaking of the D-line, another guy I was very impressed by was Arden Key. Arden Key, a guy who coincidentally was drafted by the Raiders. He kind of made more of a name for himself with the 49ers, really filling in nicely for Bosa and Armstead when those guys fell down with injuries. But yeah, Arden Key, he had a very good night for the Jags. Like to see him be more of a mainstay on a team, but we'll see how he fares with Jags. But yeah, 27-11. That was the score for the Raiders. So yeah, good for him. And the Hall of Fame enshrinement ceremony was pretty good. One thing I will say about the enshrinement ceremony is sometimes, the ceremonies can be a bit too late, and sometimes the speeches can be very long. But alas, on Saturday, it was more in the afternoon/morning, so that was refreshing. And then speeches were pretty much to the point. Nothing really went overboard. You know, just good speeches all around, and a bunch of good inductees went in. You know, Leroy Butler, Dick Vermeil, Sam Mills, Brian Young, Richard Seymour, former Patriot and Raider. I mean, bunch of very good guys. Cliff Branch. I mean, next year's cast is going to be very interesting as well with some of the guys that, are on the come up. You know, with the situation of players and coaches having to wait 5 years after retirement, it's an interesting system, to say the least. And it's interesting hearing these guys' stories, especially if you were never able to actually see them play live, but it is good. I mean, yeah. Before I get into the preview of NFL preseason week 1, I must say, I kind of feel bad for the Yankees now. I kind of feel bad for the Yankees. You know, they suffered another tough injury today, losing Matt Carpenter, infielder. You know, they have been, you know, what goes into a championship team involves a little bit of luck. And right now, you can very well say the Yankees are unlucky. You know, for the majority of the season, you could pretty much say they were the best team in the league. But then they lost Michael King, one of their pitchers, late last month. That Anthony Rizzo, he has back issues. Giancarlo Stanton, he's iffy. I mean, you know, you only count so much on Aaron Judge. And, now they lose Carpenter. It's not going well for the Yankees, who are at, and I bet they still are blowing out their division, but, we're getting closer and closer to playoff time, and that's when you gotta be playing your best and healthiest. So we'll see. We'll see if they can overcome these, but it's just been brutal for the men in the Big Apple, or one of them. Serena Williams. Serena Williams. Now, I don't talk about tennis really much. I mean, it's not really my cup of tea, but you gotta give credit where credit is due. And when I think of tennis, professional tennis, I think of really two people: Serena Williams and Rafael Nadal. And Serena Williams reportedly has announced her retirement, at age 40. I thought, it just feels like she's done it forever. I thought she might have been a little older, but alas, you know, she's been really the pioneer for tennis as far as people know the last number of years. And, you know, multiple championships, multiple ads, covers, as regards to tennis and female athletes. So, I mean, great for her. I mean, prolonged success. You can't leave that out. You can't leave that out. The success she's had, and but alas, a great career, and good luck to her in retirement. So, yeah, pretty much there. Go for Serena. Kareem Hunt and Roquan Smith, two of the more underrated, very good pieces in the NFL, are both unhappy and have requested trades from both the Bears and the Browns. Now, two interesting situations. We'll start with Hunt because, look, Kareem Hunt, obviously we know he burst onto the scene as a rookie in 2017 and 2018. There was that incident and he was cut. 2019, he signed again with the Browns and he's been with them ever since. 2020, he had a very good season. Last year, they didn't use him as much, and I think that partly due to injuries, partly production, but alas, I think it was one of the big reasons that hindered them from going farther. Yes, we can say, Baker regressed. Yes, we can say he was injured, but one thing that really helps, a struggling QB is a running back that can be explosive out of the backfield, especially a receiving back. And Hunt is a very good running back, multi-dimensional, and has good versatility. But now, the Browns paid Nick Chubb a short extension few weeks ago. And go figure, he's one of the highest paid running backs in the league, and he deserves it. Kareem Hunt, you know, is still one of the really good backs in the league. And I think we can all agree he could start on a lot of the teams still in the league. And it's an unfortunate dilemma. You know, when you have two very good running backs who are going to command good dollar and should be paid. Are you willing to pay Kareem Hunt almost as much? I don't think they are, so it's unfortunate. And another thing to look at too, Dearness Johnson, who played very well as the running back last season in his little spurts. He did very well. And they re-signed him to a short deal. I would not be surprised if he's a little backbone for the Browns in Steel, and maybe they think, well, they can let go of Hunt, try to slot Johnson more into that role, and so get very good production. We'll see, but Hunt's out for the best. There are a bunch of teams who right now have starters at running back who I think, are not as good as Kareem Hunt. So we'll see. We'll see. Roquan Smith is a different deal. Different deal. I mean, Roquan, I think, has been one of the underappreciated defensive guys the last couple of seasons. Ever since the Bears drafted him in 2018, he's been a defensive menace when healthy. Has had over 100 tackles in every year since he's been drafted. Last season, he had over 160 combined tackles. I mean, he can sack the QB. He can get interceptions. I mean, very good, very fast. Roquan. And the thing about the Bears, before I say, Roquan, I think, should have been a Pro Bowler last season, but last he wasn't. So, but with the Bears, me included, people thought that, or at least think that, with them letting go talent and this and that they're in a rebuilding phase for the Chicago Bears. Now, it's obviously not pretty. And, you know, even when I saw their draft, I thought, well, that was disappointing. But, you know, in hindsight, you can look at it one of two ways. You can say, well, they're not doing enough to build around just Fields. The other thing is they're trying to incorporate as much cap or build as much cap as they can so that next year, perhaps if Fields shows he is the guy, that they can put more talent around him and they'll see from there. Of course, it's a difficult thing because, you know, next season he'll be in, not this season, but next season he'll be in year 3. So you gotta try to strike quickly with your young QB for when you're gonna have to pay him top dollar. So we'll see with the Bears, but I wouldn't be surprised if both are traded by opening day. That's just me. But we'll see. Now we'll pull up the schedule for week 1 and preseason. Share my thoughts. Let's go. So, 3 things in life are certain: death, taxes, and the Giants and Patriots playing in preseason. Now, the Giants, Kayvon Thibodeau, Evan Neal, I think both got great additions in the top 10. We'll see how they fare in their first go around with the Patriots. And for the Patriots, Mac Jones has been reportedly struggling in training camp, and it'll be interesting to see how he fares versus Giants, who are looking to improve, especially under Brian Daboll. Titans versus Ravens. We'll get to see Malik Willis' first action on Thursday for the Titans. The proverbial future, it seems, of the Titans, at least they think. See how he fares. Kind of unfortunate we probably won't see Tyler Lindenbaum for the Ravens out in Northern Iowa, who suffered an injury the other day. So, yeah, but we'll get to see Kyle Hamilton still out in Notre Dame. So that should be fun. Falcons Lions. So pair of first round wide receivers to get to look forward to, as we'll get Jameson Williams and Drake London. So that'll be fun. Browns versus Jags. We got, well, in all likelihood, we'll have to see. Now that the suspension has been handed out for Deshaun Watson, now Jacoby Brissett can get his reps, and we'll see from there. Cardinals, Bengals, we'll get to see the Jackson Hill out of the Bengals. Could we see the new starters of the O-line? Perhaps. I mean, they're going to have to get more chemistry. So, there's that. Jets, Eagles. I mean, with the news about Mekhi Becton, it's going to be pretty unfortunate for the Jets, but unless they have a bunch of new pieces on the offense, so see if we can get a glimpse of those. Packers 49ers. Packers announced that Jordan Love will start for the game. Go figure. Could he potentially see how Christian Watson and Amari Rodgers, not sure about Sammy Watkins, can fare getting some reps there. We'll see. Trey Lance seems like he's been given the keys, so see a glimpse of what he can do in the preseason as well against that good secondary. Panthers, Commanders, get that wide receiver, John Dawson for Commanders pairing with Terry McLaurin. Carson Wentz, Terrell Heike. See how that battle fares out first glance. Panthers, I mean, it's going to be crazy there with Baker Mayfield, Matt Corral, and Sam Darnold. So, Chiefs, Bears, I just went out for the Bears, but, Chiefs, they made some solid additions in this year's draft with Karlaftis, McDuffie, and Sky Moore. So, get to see first batch of those guys, first look. Colts, Bills, it'll be intriguing to see Case Keenum's first reps as a Bill. So, got that to look forward to. Seahawks, Steelers, both QB battles to look forward to. Drew Lock or Geno Smith. Really Drew Lock's last opportunity at being a starter, it seems. Steelers, I mean, Mason Rudolph, Mitch Trubisky, Kenny Pickett. See how it goes. Dolphins, Bucks. Teddy Bridgewater, Tua. That little dynamic there. Could we see Tyreek Hill? I don't know. Bucks, Kyle Trask. See how he looks as he looks to become the backup QB for Tom Brady against Blaine Gabbert. Let's see. Saints Texans. Now, with the news of Jameis Winston, looks like we may see a lot of Andy Dalton on Saturday. But interesting there. Davis Mills for Texans. He's got a chip on his shoulder. Has a point to prove for Houston this season, especially with Langley, Deshaun Watson. We'll see. Cowboys Broncos. May see Russell Wilson in his Broncos debut a little bit, or at least first glance. Yeah, something to see there. Rams, Chargers, that news about Matthew Stafford's elbow is a little concerning, but, a couple pieces to look forward to. Of course, we got the new O-lineman for Chargers look forward to, as long as along the defense. So, got that. Vikings Raiders concludes NFL preseason week 1. Vikings, look forward to leave scene. Andrew Booth, another preseason of Kellen Mond. See how he does in his sophomore season. Can he develop? We'll see behind Kirk Cousins. I don't know, but some interesting stuff to look forward to as far as this weekend of the NFL preseason. Again, I get people are not. It's preseason, but, if you want to get into the gist of your team, you have to follow it and you have to see who actually makes the team and who improves and who doesn't as far as the future. So, interesting stuff to look forward to, but nonetheless, that's it for the podcast today. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, click the like, leave a thumbs up, comment down below, any suggestions or whatnot. But thank you all. Again, be safe. I'll be back next week for episode 112. Appreciate y'all. I'm AHO Tone Love. Getting out here. Peace.